DBSCG things.
What is up, Yuhp gang? It's your boy Taxon, and welcome back to Yuhp DBSCG Things. Today I'm bringing you another exciting deck profile. This is going to be the Undefeated from our locals this weekend, Ss4 Vegeta ramp. But before we get into the deck, guys, I do gotta say, if you want any custom mats and or sleeves, absolutely check out ProMats, guys. The best place to go get your custom card needs. Link will be in the description below for you guys to go check them out. And also, as you can see on the screen now, they are doing a monthly tournament the second weekend of every single month. With some great prizing here. TCG Metal Leaders, you can win some Pro Mats as well. So absolutely go check the link in the description below to jump into the Discord and get more information on this tournament. And with that being said, guys, if you like this deck profile or my content in general, absolutely hit those buttons, like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified every single time I upload a video. And with that being said, guys, let's turn this camera around and show you the deck. Alrighty, you guys, so we got the deck, now let's go over it. First things first, we gotta talk about the leader. So when he attacks, he draws one card, and then he has another auto. Whenever you deal a damage with to your opponent by attacking with this card, you can look at the top card of your deck. If it's mono blue, you can place it into your energy and rest mode. If it's not mono blue, it goes back onto the top of your deck. That's not going to be too much of a problem with us in this deck because we do play mono blue. Awakening, not too exciting. You just draw one card and flip over. Backside, kind of similar to the front with the third effect. When you deal a damage by attacking with this card, you get to look at the top card and place it into your energy and rest mode. If it's not mono blue, it goes back on top. Auto, when he attacks, it's once per turn, you draw one card. And then auto, when your opponent activates a counter skill, which is really clutch, it stands back to active mode. So first things first, when you're taking your turns with this deck, you always want to swing at your leader first. If they negate, cool, he stands back up and you get to try again. If they combo out, cool, you get to start making plays, and if they want to counterplay one of your cards you play, he stands back up. Or if they want to negate one of your cards attacks or your units in attack, it just stands back up. So that's the leader. Getting into the main part about the deck. So the best part about the deck is obviously that we're ramping, meaning that we're going to get to 4 energy quick. So, boo. Hands down, best blue unison in the game. You play him out for 4 energy, he's a double strike blocker. You plus minus 0. You draw one card, and then during your opponent's main phase, like the very first thing, the moment your opponent charges their energy, him and one of your energy are going to stand to active. And then his -1 being probably the most busted thing about the card. Whenever your opponent attacks with a battle card, you can -1 marker off your unison, and then place one of your opponent's battle cards at the bottom of your stack. So that there is really, really huge. Following up our unisons, we obviously have God Sealing. I run 4 God Sealing just because if I ramp one off the top of the deck, I like to know that I still have like three in the deck to play with. Not much to say about God Sealing either. He stops just about anything without deflect coming in. Negate lineup, we run 4 Dimension Magic and 2 Mafuba for extra card negates. Dimension Magic, not much to say about it. It's your sparking negate. Also, it stands 2 blue energy. Mafuba, overperform for me this weekend, honestly. Being able to shut down cards for essentially 2 turns is just really, really good. Next up, we got 4 Senzu Beans, standard in blue. You just run 4 of these. You tap 1, you stand 2, and give 5k to a battle card or a leader. This card is kind of the staple in Ss4 Vegeta. So in any battle step, you just pay 1, you give your leader or a battle card plus 15k, which is useful for more than just attacking with your leader. And then auto, when you activate this card, if it's your turn, you draw 1. If it's your opponent's, you restand the energy that you tapped. So it's a free 15 on your opponent's turn, and then it's a draw 1 15 on your turn. Really, really clutch. It's definitely the way that this deck's gonna get its early ramps. So next up are super combos. I do run a split. 3 Zenos. Zeno overperforms in this deck just because you are ramping off the top of your deck, and there's no way to really foresee what your cards are going to be when you're doing that ramp. So you can end up ramping into some essential pieces, especially since I do run a couple 1-ofs in this deck. We want Zeno to be able to fetch things that we ramp out of our energy. Next up, we have the 1-of Vegeta Super Combo. This guy's really just there for drawing 2 cards when it's like late game and I'm like getting really, really aggroed on. that's there so that like I can just bottom deck one and see two more. So getting into the battle cards of the deck, I run a bunch of one-drop hate cards just because all I want to do is just keep filtering cards from my hand and trying to see more and more cards and essentially ramp until I'm at like big boss plays. So we got one-drop Bonds, Burnished Bonds, Borgos. When he's played, he draws a card, which will be kind of the theme of all these one-drops, including the one-drop super combo that we run. During your opponent's turn, if they switch one of your their energies to active mode, you get to choose one of your opponent's energies and place it in the drop area. So this is basically if your opponent uses Sensu Bean on their turn, or if they have a battle card effect that just stands in energy. I run two of the barrier, one that kind of just hates dimension magic. This guy is a one-drop draw card, also a barrier. Not super important, but it's cool when I'm versing blue, which did come up this weekend. Auto once per turn when your opponent switches an energy to active mode using a counter skill, place one card from your opponent's life and one card from your opponent's energy into the drop area. So for this guy, two of this guy, and we run two Kais. I'm not even gonna lie, it would probably be 2, 2, 4 if I just could find two more Kais. Kai draws one card and then it's an auto. During your opponent's turn, if your opponent plays a battle card on your turn, they have to choose a card in their hand and bottom deck it. Reasoning I'd run this one at 4 over this one is just because this one essentially hurts way more decks than this guy. So that's where I'm at with that. Those are my one-drop plays. Next up, we have a couple battle card negates. I play 3 Gohan Baby Minion. This card, in my opinion, is still really good. You get to 3 energy more than likely on turn 2. So if you're going like first and you're just not seeing your correct plays, just depending on how your game's going, you can definitely play him even before you're at the right turn for your Boo Unison, because your Boo Unison play is always going to be either you're landing directly on 4 energy on your third turn, or you're going to be doing it on your 4th turn for 5. So this guy's a good in-between just to really stop turns and make sure that you see your Boo play alive. Vegeta, I really like this card for late game. He's cool if your opponent doesn't have a response. You tap 4, you play him, he negates the attack. And then he's a blocker, and then he has an auto. If your opponent decides to attack again for the turn, they got to place one of their energies into the drop area. That's huge, especially that he's a 20k blocker. This is essentially a tap 4, shut your opponent's turn down if they don't want to waste a counterplay on it. So getting into more battle cards of the deck. Little U6 package, we run 2 Kaba. This guy's honestly really good in this deck because I end up boarding like so many one-drops and like stuff like this that just ends up staying there for a while, because like once I swing with Gohan, most players know that it doesn't stand back up because it does have Servant. So like it'll just sit there and they know it's not useful for me, so it'll still count as a body on field for Kaba. So that's huge. He's a dual tag blocker. Auto when he's played, if it's your turn you draw 2, if it's your opponent's turn you get to choose one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 4 or less. And place it at the opponent's bottom of the opponent's deck, and then you switch one of your energies to active mode. He has an activate main / battle. You can pay 1 blue and 2 colorless, which is not really any type of big deal because we're playing mono blue. If there are a total of 3 or more mono blue or yellow cards in your battle area or combo area, you can play this card from your hand. So like I can have like 2 of these guys on field, combo 1, and then just play him for 3, or I can just like push out a bunch of 1-drops and then just play him for 3. I like him a lot because he's most of the time I just use him as a dual attack draw 2. So next up, more of our U6 stuff. We have 2 Kale. I absolutely love this card in this deck. I had this at 3 for the longest because I was just dropping it back-to-back turns because it's honestly just that good. It's a deflect double strike auto. When you play this card without using skills, you get to choose one of the following effects. You get to choose all of your opponent's battle cards with the energy cost of 3 or more and place them at the bottom of the owner's deck. And then if your leader card is a Kale card, you can yada yada yada. It don't matter because we're not playing Kale. And the other effect, which is the more prominent effect, if you have 7 or more energy, choose all of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and place them at the bottom of the owner's deck. And this card will gain barrier and dual attack. So that's absolutely huge. As you notice, it doesn't have barrier in the actual keyword skills. So when you play this card, if you have 7 or more energy, if you're versing green and they try to freeze this thing, it's just going to gain barrier before they can choose it with the auto. So like this card essentially just gets around Trunks and like barrier counterplays. It just feels so good to me. I like that card a lot. Next up, we have 2 of the SS4 Vegeta, Rise of the Super Warrior. A lot of the times I'll use this guy as a tap 6, draw 4, because I already have enough energy to make the plays I need. This card's still really good in my opinion. If you can manage to let him hit the field, like if you're versing green or yellow, or red really, he's more than likely just gonna hit the field, and you're gonna get to see those top cards. If you're versing blue, maybe not. But other than that, this card still feels really good. A lot of the times, if I'm like off my ramp effect, like if my opponent's not letting my leader ramp me, I will just play him and get the ramp, so that I do eventually just have the energy to start spamming the board with a bunch of stuff, because I do like to be able to just play a bunch of big costed cards in one turn. So next up, standard blue stuff, Baby Golden Avenger. He's just basically tap 5, counter. He comes in, he's a triple strike 30k. He bottom decks one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and you draw a card. This card is just absolutely phenomenal, especially in a ramp deck. When we're going for a kill and your opponent wants to counter it, like let's say you have this on field and you just are swinging with a double strike and they want to negate, you can straight up just counter it, and then now that's going through, and now you have a 30k triple strike threat on field, and you get to remove a card and replace itself. So that card is huge. So on to the last few cards of the deck. These are all one-ofs. We got Roshi. I like Roshi a lot because he's going to consistently just keep drawing me cards unless my opponent has barrier removal. He's also really, really good pressure, being that he's a critical dual attacker, and he is a good removal card. If I'm not seeing cards that I need to see that remove cards, he'll come in and definitely get rid of 2 of my opponent's battle cards and bottom deck them. So I like that card a lot. Next up, we have 117. This is basically the deck's main win con. I should probably run this card at more, but I seen him when I needed to see him this weekend. He basically closed out all of my games besides against Red Hit. Yeah, 17-17. If they don't have Jiren, they're just gonna lose their hand and get a crit swang and then a double strike unison right behind it. And then last card in the deck, if you didn't see Hatch come in, then you just probably don't play blue often. Hatch is your SCR if you play a blue leader. It's just how it is. He negates the attack, you pitch a card, and then your opponent can't attack at all for the duration of the rest of their turn. So that's just how it is. That's let me see my next turn to play Hatch card, or to play 17 card. So yep, that's my deck, guys. To go over a couple of my matches. My 3 matches were round 1. I went up against Blue Bojack. Honestly, a really hard matchup. That deck has really good removal. It doesn't have the greatest draw power, but it does have good removal. It does get a lot of bodies out relatively quickly. But eventually, once I started getting my energy flowing and I was able to take out his Boo Unison, I ended up just getting the upper hand. And then once I dropped 17, it was basically game. Next round was Red Hit. Red Hit felt kind of free. Once he let me get my Boo Unison on field, there was really nothing he could do. My board, I was board clearing him so often, there wasn't much for him to do. So yeah, that felt like a free W to me. And then the last match was obviously the match that I just posted up on the channel, which was against Broly BR. Sadly enough, that was against a teammate, so I did have quite a bit of practice against that deck. That is a list that he's been working on for a while. so I do know like exactly what it does. And basically, blue is the Hirudegarn chain's weakness. Basically, once I get this guy out, I can -1 when he attacks with something, and it'll trigger his auto. And if he chooses to play something, I can just God Seal it, essentially clearing his field and stopping his chain from progressing any further. So once I was able to Mafuba his 3-drop, I believe, in that game, it kind of felt like I concealed the dub because I didn't let him get into his 4-drop, which essentially gets the chain really popping, because that's when the 6 and 9-drop come into field and really start taking your hand away. So yeah, I Mafuba him on like turn 3, and that was like huge. And then yeah, once I Mafuba him, I was able to establish a Boo. Once I got Boo on field, he was wasting his turns to kill Boo, so that he didn't have to walk into the wall that he's obviously tested against and just knew how it was gonna go. So he was killing Boo. He was using his Unison to take my cards. He ripped my Hatch, so I just didn't have Hatch that game. Luckily enough for me, every single time he removed Boo in that match, I would just like started playing cantrips and would draw into another Boo. So it felt really free. So yeah, that is the deck, guys. That is what I went undefeated with at my locals this weekend. If you guys like the list, absolutely let me know in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know the techs that you're running in this deck, because SS4 Vegeta is this is honestly just my favorite blue leader, and it always has been. I've played this deck quite a few times, and it was definitely the deck that I chose out of the set when it dropped, and it was the deck that I've been playing. So yeah, I like this deck a lot. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know the techs you guys are running. I definitely want more insight so I can get some more spicy stuff going. I do like running a bunch of 1-drops, because when you do sideboard stuff, you can like get rid of the 1-drop hate stuff for blue, and you can put in the like 1-drop that draw a card when they're discarded for hand destruction, and you'll still have like mono blue stuff. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so yeah, this deck's cool. Let me know in the comments below, guys. We will see you guys next week.